what really happened behind the scenes of the repair shop. Today, we're diving deep into the repair shop's tragic secret and why it ended, and it's heartbreaking. This isn't just about a TV show coming to a close. It's about hidden struggles, broken trust, and a story that shocked fans worldwide. Stick around, because the truth is more painful than anyone expected. When the repair shop first aired on the BBC in 2017, no one could have predicted the impact it would have. Tucked away in a quiet English barn, it wasn't flashy or filled with drama. It was something else entirely. It brought real stories, nostalgia, and a kind of emotional healing that viewers didn't know they needed. People from all over the UK brought in their broken treasures, hoping the experts could restore more than just wood or fabric. They were restoring memories, family history, and love. Led by a team of highly skilled artisans, each episode unfolded like a delicate reveal. Viewers weren't just watching repairs. They were witnessing stories come back to life. An old clock that hadn't ticked since World War II. A childhood toy that had survived generations. A piece of a lost loved one, brought back from the brink. This was television, at its most personal. The show wasn't just a success. It became a phenomenon. It quietly climbed the ratings and eventually earned a primetime slot. Awards followed, including a BAFTA and National Television Awards. Audiences found something rare, a show that made them feel something real. But what really made the repair shop soar was its emotional core. Viewers felt a deep connection, not just to the items being restored, but to the people doing the restoring. Each expert had their own quiet charisma, but none stood out more than Jay Blades. With his calm presence and heartfelt delivery, Jay became the soul of the show. What no one saw coming was how that same emotional core, the very thing that made the show great, would also become the reason everything began to unravel. And that unraveling, it all started with the man at the center of it all. Jay Blades wasn't meant to be a traditional TV star. When he stepped onto the set of the repair shop, he brought something different, a kind of quiet authenticity that instantly connected with viewers. Dressed in his signature flat cap, soft-spoken but thoughtful, Jay became the emotional anchor of the show without even trying. He wasn't flashy, he wasn't polished, but he was real. Jay's journey to the repair shop was far from ordinary. Before television, he worked as a furniture restorer and community leader, helping at-risk youth find direction through hands-on craftsmanship. His background wasn't in performance, it was in people. That's what made him stand out. Every interaction he had on the show felt sincere. He didn't just ask questions to move the story along. He actually listened. Audiences quickly grew attached to him. For many viewers, Jay represented a calm in the chaos. He was the one who consoled emotional guests, the one who helped viewers navigate the sentimental weight of each item being restored. And as the show's popularity grew, so did Jay's. He began appearing in interviews, documentaries, even writing books. He wasn't just a presenter. He was becoming a symbol of hope and empathy. But behind the scenes, things weren't as peaceful. Jay had a past he rarely talked about, and emotional wounds that hadn't fully healed. In his memoir, he opened up about struggles with mental health, poverty, and feeling like an outsider. While his honesty won praise, it also revealed how much pressure he had silently carried. Still, no one suspected what would happen next. Because for someone who had helped so many others restore their broken past, his own personal story was quietly falling apart. And soon, that hidden pain would burst into public view. While the repair shop showed Jay Blades as calm, composed, and in control, his personal life painted a very different picture. Behind the warmth and wisdom that captivated millions, Jay was carrying a weight few could see. Long before the cameras ever rolled, he had faced hardships that left deep scars, and those scars never fully faded. In interviews and his memoir, Jay revealed that he had suffered a serious mental breakdown in 2015. At the time, he had lost everything: his business, his relationship, and his sense of purpose. He admitted that he reached such a dark place that he didn't want to go on. It was only after getting professional help that he slowly began to rebuild his life. This period of vulnerability made him stronger in some ways, but also exposed how fragile his foundation truly was. Jay became a vocal advocate for mental health, using his platform to encourage others to seek therapy and support. On the surface, it looked like a comeback story. a man who had faced the edge and pulled himself back. But not everyone knew just how close to that edge he still lived. Fame brought new pressure. The polished TV persona clashed with the internal chaos he was still wrestling. Even as the repair shop continued to rise in popularity, Jay's personal life remained unstable. His romantic relationships were turbulent, and he often hinted at difficulties behind the scenes. The emotional weight he carried, both from his past and the show itself, began to seep through the cracks. To the public, he was a healer, but few realized he was still trying to heal himself. And when tensions in his private life finally exploded, it would shake everything the show had built. Just when fans thought they knew Jay Blades, headlines told a completely different story. In early 2024, shocking allegations surfaced involving Jay and his estranged wife, Lisa Boson. What seemed like a fairy tale romance, a late-in-life marriage that brought Jay joy, was suddenly shattered by serious accusations. Lisa claimed she had experienced coercive and controlling behavior behind closed doors, and the authorities took it seriously. The charges rocked both fans and the BBC. Suddenly, the kind, reflective host of the repair shop was being portrayed in a completely different light. The very man who helped people restore their past was now being accused of emotional damage in his own relationship. Jay denied the claims, but the damage had already begun. The BBC, cautious about its public image, responded swiftly. Reruns of the repair shop featuring Jay were quietly pulled from some lineups. A long-awaited spin-off project featuring him was shelved. And perhaps most telling, scheduled promotional appearances vanished without explanation. The man who had once been the face of feel-good TV was now surrounded by whispers and doubt. For longtime fans, it was almost impossible to reconcile this version of Jay with the man they felt they knew. The contrast between his on-screen empathy and the off-screen allegations left many feeling betrayed, or at least confused. While the legal process was still unfolding, the court of public opinion had already divided. Some supporters argued the accusations didn't fit the Jay they knew, while others felt that the truth might have been hidden in plain sight all along. And as the controversy deepened, it wasn't just Jay's image at stake. It was the fate of the entire show. When the allegations against Jay Blades became public, it wasn't just a personal scandal. It cast a long shadow over the repair shop itself. For years, Jay had been the emotional center of the show. His voice, his presence, and his way of making people feel seen had defined the series. So when his image was tarnished, it left a vacuum that no one knew how to fill. Initially, the BBC made no official announcement about removing Jay, but fans noticed subtle changes. New episodes aired with less emphasis on him, sometimes editing out his segments entirely. Other experts on the show, restorers like Kirk and Susie Fletcher, took on more visible roles. While they were talented and beloved in their own right, the dynamic had clearly shifted. The show tried to carry on, but something was missing. Without Jay's signature style of empathy and connection, the emotional punch that made the series so special began to fade. Viewers still appreciated the skill and care that went into the restorations, but the deeper human element was harder to capture. Behind the scenes, plans for a live repair shop tour were already in motion. It was meant to be a celebration of the show's success. But after the controversy, ticket sales dropped dramatically. Dates were canceled, venues quietly pulled out, and what should have been a victory lap turned into an awkward retreat. Internally, producers face a dilemma. Do they continue without Jay and try to reinvent the show? Or do they let it quietly wind down and avoid further public backlash? What was once one of the BBC's most uplifting and wholesome programs now felt tainted by uncertainty. But even as the show faltered, the public still wanted answers, and they weren't done talking about Jay Blades. When news broke about Jay Blades' legal troubles, the reaction from fans was swift and deeply divided. For years, Jay had been more than just a TV host. To many, he felt like a trusted friend. His calm demeanor, emotional intelligence, and support for struggling guests had earned him a loyal following. So when accusations surfaced, the fallout wasn't just about the show, it felt personal. On social media, opinion was split down the middle. Some fans stood by Jay, insisting that everyone deserves due process and that the allegations didn't match the man they thought they knew. Innocent until proven guilty, many wrote. echoing each other. They posted clips of his most heartfelt moments, calling it a character assassination, but others weren't so forgiving. For them, the idea that someone so associated with healing and empathy could be accused of manipulation behind closed doors was a betrayal. Some said they felt lied to, while others questioned whether his on-screen persona had always been a performance. The debate quickly turned toxic. Comment sections and forums were flooded with arguments, with people questioning the truth, the media coverage, and even the BBC's handling of the situation. For every fan defending him, there was another expressing disillusionment. The emotional way of the show had always been its strength, but now it had become its vulnerability. The scandal wasn't just hurting Jay's reputation. It was tearing at the foundation of a show built on trust, kindness, and emotional restoration. And in the middle of all the noise, one question kept surfacing again and again. Could the repair shop ever be the same again, or was this truly the beginning of the end? While fans debated Jay's innocence, something more subtle was happening behind the scenes of the repair shop. The once close-knit team, known for their chemistry and mutual respect, began to show signs of strain. The cozy barn that had symbolized unity and purpose now held a different kind of energy, quiet, uncertain, and heavy. Sources close to the production claimed the atmosphere had shifted drastically. Some cast members reportedly felt blindsided by the controversy. They had worked with Jay for years, shared personal moments, and trusted him as a leader. Now, they were being asked about something they hadn't seen coming, and weren't sure how to respond publicly. Restorers like Susie Fletcher and Will Kirk kept their heads down, focusing on their work, but their silence spoke volumes. Internal discussions reportedly turned tense. Should they continue filming like nothing had happened, or should they press pause until things were clearer? Opinions varied, and for a show built on emotional transparency, the lack of open conversation felt like a betrayal of its own message. Some team members were also worried about their reputations. Association with the scandal, even indirectly, could have long-term effects on their careers. Others just wanted to protect the integrity of the show, feeling that it was unfair to let one man's personal issues taint years of meaningful storytelling. The production crew was placed in a difficult spot. Keep the show going and risk losing credibility? Or end things quietly and risk disappointing millions of fans? Either way, the warmth that once defined the repair shop was slowly fading. And with each passing week, it became clearer. This wasn't just a bump in the road. It was a fracture too deep to ignore. As tension simmered both on-screen and off, all eyes turned to the BBC. How would the network respond to the growing controversy? Would they issue a public statement, defend their once-beloved host, or draw a firm line? Surprisingly, they chose a different route. Silence. No dramatic press release. No bold decisions. Just a slow, deliberate retreat. Episodes featuring Jay continued to air and rerun for a while, but fans noticed they were less frequent. Then quietly, the newest season of The Repair Shop was cut short. Promotional material vanished from BBC platforms, and the network stopped pushing the show on social media. There was no official cancellation, but the message was clear. The BBC was backing away. Industry insiders suggested that the network had entered damage control mode. Rather than feed the headlines with a loud reaction, they opted to let the show fade out quietly, hoping time would do the cleanup for them. It was a classic move. Don't add fuel to a fire you can't control. But for longtime viewers, the lack of transparency felt like abandonment. No one explained why the show that once uplifted millions was suddenly out of the spotlight. It didn't sit right, especially considering The Repair Shop was more than just programming. It was emotional nourishment during difficult times. The BBC's silence only added to the mystery. Were they waiting for legal outcomes? Planning a reboot without Jay? Or was this the end, buried under the weight of a scandal they never saw coming? Whatever the strategy, the impact was undeniable. A once-cherished show was slipping away, not with a bang, but with a barely audible whisper. And even though the network stayed quiet, the audience was left asking, why won't they just tell us the truth? For a show like The Repair Shop, fans weren't just viewers. They were community. Week after week, people gathered around their screens to witness more than just restorations. They shared emotions, memories, and a sense of hope. So when the series quietly faded away, it left a deep void. Online forums, fan groups, and social media pages erupted with nostalgia and sorrow. Many fans posted heartfelt tributes, sharing stories of how the show had touched their lives. They talked about watching with elderly relatives, repairing heirlooms alongside the experts, or finding comfort during tough personal moments. The loss felt personal, but alongside the sadness was frustration. Fans demanded answers about the show's sudden disappearance and Jay Blade's fate. Some felt betrayed, others confused. Comment threads turned into battlegrounds of loyalty, forgiveness, and judgment. The emotional tone of the community reflected the complicated feelings around the scandal and the show's collapse. Several fan-led petitions surfaced, asking the BBC to bring back the series, even without Jay, but the response was muted. While some restorers remained active on social media, the magic of the original team was gone, and so was the hope of a full return. For many, the repair shop symbolized more than craftsmanship. It was a reminder that broken things, whether objects or people, could be made whole again. But now that promise felt broken. The show's ending didn't just close a chapter on a beloved program. It marked the end of an era for a community that had found healing in its quiet magic. And so, the question remains, can anything truly replace the heart that the repair shop lost? Looking back, it's clear that the ending of the repair shop wasn't just about a scandal. It was about a tragic secret that slowly unraveled everything. Jay Blades, the show's heart and soul, carried wounds hidden from public view. The pressure of fame, unresolved personal struggles, and a fractured private life collided in a way no one expected. His story reminds us how even those who seem strongest on screen can be quietly breaking inside. The allegations, the silence, the fading show, it all traces back to this deeper, painful reality. The show's gentle magic depended on trust, empathy, and connection. When those were broken, the damage went beyond ratings or reputation. It hit the very soul of the series. The BBC's decision to quietly step away reflected the impossibility of continuing without an emotional core. And fans' heartbreak wasn't just about losing a TV program. It was about losing a symbol of hope in difficult times. In the end, the repair shop became a cautionary tale about how hidden struggles can devastate not only one person, but an entire community of viewers. It's a reminder that behind every smile on screen, there might be a silent battle no one sees. While the show might never return, its impact remains. It taught millions about restoration, not just of antiques, but of memories, love, and resilience. Jay Blade's journey, painful as it was, opened conversations about mental health and realities behind the spotlight. And perhaps it is a true legacy, a story of brokenness, healing, and the complicated truths that lie beneath the surface of even the most comforting stories. Because sometimes the most tragic secrets aren't about what's broken, but what we refuse to see. Thanks for watching and learning the heartbreaking truth behind the repair shop. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss any of our future stories. See you next time.